Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Gaming on Board. Tonight we're going to take a look at a worker placement game placed in a forest setting with woodland creatures where you're trying to build your city as efficiently as possible with as few resources as you can. So please, prepare to enter the world of Everdell. Once you're here, you might never ever want to leave.
Alright, welcome to the wondrous world of Everdell. This is the main board here, and I'll have to move the camera up here because it has this really cool 3D this is like punch board. Really nice thick board tree here, and I'm going to go through the setup and show you how that tree is used. But first, let's take a look at all the components. And by the way, this is the retail version of the game. I didn't back it on Kickstarter or anything like that. So first off, we have these really cool resources that like to roll all over the place if your table is not perfectly even. So this is wood. And we also have resin, pebbles, and berries. So there's the resin. Nice orange crystals. The wood is actually wood. The pebbles are plastic rock-shaped pieces here. And like I said, this is the retail version. Picked it up at Cape Fear Games. And the berries are actually rubber, little berry-looking pieces there. So you'll put out your resources here where it actually shows them. So you see some sticks floating in the water here, some resin that they've gathered here, a little bitty rock quarry or pebble quarry, and then a bunch of berry bushes over here to the right. So you put all your resources out. This actually is not all the resources that come with the game. I just put out as much as I would need for this video. You see there's more of all of them here. Then I'm setting up for a two-player game, so you pull out the pieces for the two people that you're going to play with. We got red and blue here, and each one of these does look different. So there's the red and blue, and then white is like a mouse, and then like a hedgehog for the black or brown. Then you'll grab these event tiles or festivals or something like that. They all have there you go, so City Monument, Grand Tour, Harvest Festival, and Cartographer's Expedition. It's right there. And that all says that right there on the board. So you'll put those in their designated spaces here under the tree. Oop. Just like that. See? Alright. Then you'll take this giant deck of cards here, and you'll give them a good shuffle. 128 cards, I believe. And you'll take the top 8, set them here. This is the meadow. So this is a general pool of cards that anyone can build. So you've actually got the cards in your hand and the ones here in the meadow. Then you'll give each player 4 or 5 cards for the first player, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for player 2, 7 for 3, 8 for player 4. Then you'll take your cards and put them right here in this convenient little slot in the tree. See there? Deck goes right there. It doesn't have to. It's just a cool little thing they did with the tree. Then you'll get the special events. These are the special event cards. They have this branch design on the back, and then they'll have up here the 2 cards that you have to add to your city to be eligible to complete this event. So you'll have to have these 2 cards in your city and then use one of your workers to go to this spot to claim this special event. And then it'll tell you how many victory points you get for claiming it. Sometimes it has to do with the number of other items you've completed during the game. For example, you might get 2 points for every farm you've built, something like that. So shuffle those up and put 4 up here on the tree. Those are available to everybody. So those events go there. Put the rest in the box. Then you'll take 4 of each color of workers, and you'll place them up on the tree like so. 1 over here, 1 in the middle, and then 2 at the end. And as the seasons progress, you'll be getting these workers later on. And then the other 2 workers will go to each player's pool there. Alright, and then we can go back down here, and we're going to be putting out these forest cards. So this kind of randomizes the actions you can take during the game. I really like this. So the backs of these cards will look like this, and they'll have additional worker placement spots. So you shuffle those up, and in a 2-player game and in solo mode, you only put 3 of these cards out. If we were playing a 3 or 4-player game, we would fill up all of these forest spaces. And then the rest of these can go back to the box. So it's really cool. It's going to make every game slightly different because each of these has a different action on it. So in this case, you can go here and discard any, then draw 2 for every card you discarded. So really good. If you have like 3 cards you don't need, you can discard 3 and draw 6. It's really good. There is an additional place you can go, but only if there's 4 players in the game. Another thing to mention about these worker placement spots is, you see how this circle is a complete circle. That means only 1 worker can go there, period. And even if this spot's available, you can't put 2 of your workers here. It has to be 2 different players. As opposed to, let me see if I can zoom in here. If you look at this pebble worker placement spot right here, see how the circle is not complete? That means as many different players can go there as possible. So if the circle's closed, only 1, it's an exclusive spot. If the circle's open, multiple people can go there. Alright, so that's it for the setup. And the way the game is played, you'll have, like I said, starting out, if you're the first player, a hand of 5 cards. And there's a few different types of cards. And here's one type right here. It has this paw. Then you've got the flower. These are just special scoring, in-game scoring cards. These are usually going to be critters, but not always. Then you've got these plant cards, which are production. So as soon as you play this card, you get the benefit here. And then in rounds 2 and 4, you also gain whatever's printed on these cards at during the preparation phase. So, but I'll get to that in a minute. There's another one of those, and then these scrolls are ongoing effects. So usually something in the game will trigger whatever's written on this card to happen. So for example, some of them say when you build a construction or a critter, which that's all there is in this game, is either a construction or a critter, draw a card, something like that. And there's one other type of card here with this symbol here. That just means do what it says when you play it, and that's the end of it. And also, these symbols coincide with places on the board. So if you look up here under the tree, you can see these spots here on the board. Once you have 3 of the scroll symbol, you can place one of your workers on this event and take this tile. It's worth 3 points at the end of the game. But the important thing to remember is you have to have 3 of those cards in your city and still have a worker left over to place on this spot to claim this tile. So 3 of that, 4 of the production cards because they're really common. And then you'd have to place a worker here. It's worth 3 points at the end of the game. And then 3 of these little, traveling bag symbols to take that one. So it's a little bit of set collection in order to gain some rewards, so that's really cool. So those are the 5 different card types. Instant effects, ongoing triggered effects, production, in-game scoring, and then there's just constructions. But anyhow, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 basic action spots on the board, and that's your main way of getting resources. So first over here you got 3 twigs. That's exclusive. Only one person can go there, get 3 twigs. Then you got 2 twigs and a card, 2 resin, a resin and a card, 2 cards and a victory point. That's what that symbol means. Go here and get a pebble. Those are hard to get a hold of. Here, get a berry and a card. And finally over there you can get a berry. And like I said, these forest cards that we placed on the outside are going to vary from game to game. So I'm not going to go over all of those, but just know that there's some really good effects here. For example, take 2 of any resource. So they can be 2 different or the same. That's a really good spot. Alright, so on your turn, you will either play a card from your hand or from the meadow by paying its resources. So critters usually only require berries, and you would place this into your city. So each person will have their own little tableau of sorts, and it can never be more than 15 cards. So you have to be real careful that the cards in your city are working towards finishing these special events, getting as many victory points as possible, and still trying to get some of these basic events up here, those tokens I mentioned. So no more than 15 cards. And what's very cool is, so here's some critters: 5 berries, 4 berries, 1 twig, 2 resin, 1 pebble. As soon as we play this, we would draw 2 cards, and then when we prepare for round 2 and prepare for round 4, we would also draw 2 cards because we do production during that. This is a construction: 1 twig, 2 resin, and 3 twigs, 1 stone. Another construction. An important thing to pay attention to is you have common and unique constructions and common and unique critters. Just so happens I have 2 unique critters, but you can only have 1 of any unique critter in your city. You can have as many commons as you want, and the same goes for constructions. Only 1 of each unique construction, but as many as you want of the common constructions. You may have noticed that these critters have construction names up here. That means that if that construction already exists in your city, you can play this critter for free. And then you will mark that as occupied. So let's see what I have here. I have a post office, and there's a postal pigeon in the meadow. So I could either pay 2 berries to add the pigeon to my city, or if I don't think anybody else is going to take him, let's see, I need 1 twig and 2. So for my first action, I'll go here and grab 2 resin. And then let's just say blue, I don't know, really wants any 2, so they'll get a twig and a pebble. And then I need some twigs, so I'm going to go ahead and get 3 here, because I know I'm going to need it later. And then blue, let's see, we'll draw a couple cards and get a victory point. So they'll draw cards from the deck under the tree there. And now it's back to me. I don't have any workers to play, but I can play a card from my hand. So that's on your turn. You'll either place a worker or construct a critter or a building. So 1 twig, 2 resin, add this to my city. And now you can see here in the corner it's got a picture of that postal pigeon, and this is not covered up. And what I mean by that is I play this in my city. It's hard to get all this on camera. And then when it comes back around to me, I can say, okay, I'm going to play this postal pigeon for free because I have the post office already built. Then I'll take one of these occupation tokens and I'll cover up the picture of the pigeon. So now I know that someone is occupying this building and I can't use it to build another critter for free. Then as soon as I build from the meadow, we immediately replace that card I took from the meadow. So you continue going back and forth, drawing cards, placing workers, building constructions, building critters, trying to finish these common events up here and these special events that are on the tree for 4 rounds. And the theme of it is, if you look here, we have a spring, summer, and autumn. So at the end, when you're finished and you can't take any more actions, you can't play any cards, you can't place any workers, you'll say, okay, I'm going to prepare for the next season. And you actually, that's not true. You can only prepare for the next season when you have no more workers to play. So you could actually prepare and still play cards, but you could no longer play any more workers. So once you say you're preparing, you'll return all your workers from the board. No, actually, I think you leave your workers on the board because it still blocks other players. Please, someone, if you know the correct answer, put it in the comments below. But that's a real specific thing there. But anyways, you will take your worker from the next season, and if it has this symbol here, you will produce. So you'll look at all the cards in your city with a symbol that is on none of those cards that I just picked up. This card type here. Ooh, right here. That symbol there. So look at all those cards. In this case, I draw 2 cards. But there's a bunch of different ones. Some of them will gain you a berry. Some of them will let you activate another player's production card in their city. You can get all the different types of resources, a bunch of really cool stuff. So it really pays off to get as many production cards out as early as possible to gain a benefit from that first end of the round. And the next player will do that. You'll play cards, place workers, etc. Then at the end of summer, when you're preparing for summer rather, at the end of spring, you'll get your next worker. You don't produce, but you can draw 2 cards from the meadow. And remember, the meadow is that pool of 8 cards I showed you down there in the middle. So that's pretty good. You can choose what you want to get. And then on the 3rd round, you'll get 2 additional workers. And I can't tell you how good it feels at the beginning of that last round to get those 2 workers. You can feel like you can actually start getting a lot achieved. And things really build up quickly. And you also get to activate your production cards again at the end of summer when you're heading into autumn. So you feel really restricted at rounds 1 and 2, and then near the end of round 2, beginning of round 3, you see how many combos you have, and you're really able to accomplish a lot more because you're going to be playing cards for free. You're going to be activating cards that get you more resources. There's some really deep combos that happen here. You've got cards that let you use cards from your city as resources. For example, you can bury certain things to save up for victory points later. So there's ways to manipulate your city so it doesn't fill up too fast. And you can actually interact with other players. You can give them some things that take points away from them. It's very nice. It's better than, honestly, what I expected. I was afraid this was going to be really hyped up for no reason. And finally, I'll just quickly talk about solo mode. So in solo mode, you set it up the same as a 2-player game. And basically, the opponent will be covering up a certain spot and a certain forest card. Then in the next round, this will move down. This will cover up a different one, and then he'll be blocking, one of the meadow cards. Next round, he'll move over, block the pebble, block an additional meadow card, and go over to the third forest card. And then the last round, he'll get his last 2 workers, block all 4 of the top ones, block the berry and card spot, and then this will go down here. This is the last thing, last 2 things I haven't talked about yet, and these apply in both solo mode and multiplayer mode. So in solo mode, he'll block this journey space number 3. And then at the end, you just total up all your cards and all the cards that the opponent, the AI, built. Because in solo mode, whenever you build a card, they build a card, so that's how they get points. So basically just blocking you and building along with you. The journey spot is something you want to think about near the end of the game, or maybe even in the middle of the game when you have way too many cards in your hand. So you can place your worker on any of this 2, 3, 4, or 5 spot and discard that many cards. So if you... Oh, and you can only go in here during the last round. So forget what I said about mid-game. Only available in the last round. Place one of your workers in one of these spots and discard that many cards. Then at the end of the game, simple as that, you'll get that many points. And you can occupy multiple spaces on the journey track. And then, in fact, the 2 space can hold multiple workers from different players, as many as they want to put there, as long as they got cards to get rid of. And finally, the Haven can hold as many workers as possible from any number of players. And you go here and discard any number of cards from your hand, and for every 2 cards you discarded, you get 1 of any resource. So these 2 will always be available. Like I said, this is only during the last round, but this is always a way to trash cards to get resources, so that's real good too. At the end of the game, you'll take a look at all the events you've earned, all the special events you've earned, look at all your in-game scoring purple cards, and add up all the points from your critters and buildings that appear here. Whoever has the most victory points wins the game. All that being said, I was very surprised with Everdell. Of course, it looks amazing. I mean, the board, this tree, all the resources are really beautiful. It's just a really well done game. The only thing I could really complain about is, and you know, it's really restrictive. If you don't like games where you have to really try hard to get the things you need to achieve your goal, and you're not going to get a lot of them. They're scarce and hard to come by, and you have to be very careful and precise about the decisions you make with the resources that you do have, or else you're just not going to win. If you don't like that, this game is probably not for you. If you like more fast-paced games like, you know, Azul's pretty fast-paced, a lot of player interaction. What's another one everybody really likes? Splendor. You can make quick decisions. You don't really have to think about it too bad. This isn't probably going to tickle your fancy or whatever. But if you like not brain burners, but probably in between simple and brain burner games, I think that's where Everdell lives. So everything appears to be extremely simple and straightforward, but once you really get into it, you realize how special you have to make each turn in order to try to accomplish the goals. Don't try to do everything. If you're going for a specific special event and the cards just aren't showing up, you got one half of it and you just can't get that other one that you need, just abandon it. Go a different direction. There's plenty of different ways to make points. You could just focus on your city and not even worry about any of the events whatsoever and come out with some huge combos in the end. So yeah, I would definitely suggest at least trying Everdell. If someone has a copy, go play it. See what you think about it before you buy it. But if you like worker placement with restricted, limited resources that require deep thought, I would just go ahead and buy it. The components are great. The artwork's amazing. And the gameplay is engaging. So yeah, that's Everdell. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We post there often. And as always, thank you for watching, and play all the games.